Deep burrowing worms are rare in New Zealand pastures, but very beneficial for the soils where they're found. 30 years ago, a research trial began on the Hunters Farm in central Hawke's Bay, looking at the benefits of introducing the worms. Now, a new commercial trial is being run under the Huatokitoki catchment group.
Most of the things you see in our pastoral systems are a Northern Hemisphere import, and it's interesting we've gone to enormous energy to improve things like our grasses, our legumes, improve our livestock, even the types of trees that we put across our landscape. But when it comes to below ground, we've very rarely looked, and yet if we look below ground, all the earthworms of significance to our pastoral agricultural systems are all exotic. And we now have 17 of those in the country, compared with having 171 indigenous species. Earthworms have two really critical roles. One, they're primary decomposers, so they're really important in taking that litter off the surface, the plant litter, the dung off the surface, and burying it and mixing it in the soil profile. The other role they play are bioengineers. They're really important in building aggregates, which is the basis for our structure. But the other thing is through their burrowing, they create pores, which water can move down through the profile and obviously air can move back out through. And we want to get CO2 out of the soil and we want to get oxygen into the soil. There's three functional groups. If we look around New Zealand, we tend to find those two surface active species, those that are active right at the surface, those that are active in the root zone. We don't tend to find that third functional group, those that live on this, feed on the surface, but they live at depth. So they live 20 to 30 centimetres below the profile. And so we've done the calculation that there are large areas of lowland, there's large areas of hill country that we don't find the deep burrower. And so this research was about trying to get some quantitative information about what impact introducing the deep burrower to our pastoral soils where the two active surface ones are already present, what added benefit they would have to our pastoral agricultural systems. And so what we're doing is effectively adding some more bioengineering grunt to our soils, our pastoral soils. And what this site's particularly interesting in that an introduction was done at the site back in 1981 of the deep burrowers. And so now we are 30 years on, we've actually come back to see what impact they're having. Interestingly, when the work was initially done in the 1980s, when they were originally introduced, it seems that the increases in pasture production associated with putting the deep burrow was about another 10 to 20% over and above productivity from just having those surface active.
Gretchen Hunter and her husband John farmed the land 30 years ago when the deep burrowing worm project first began.
It's always looked good, this paddock. It's definitely looked a much better paddock than a lot of the other country. This is sort of fairly clay soil around here, so and dries out really hard in the summertime, and it never does that to the same degree up in that part up there. I think it's really exciting actually when you see just how many worms have come out of it.
We've worked out that where this particular species was introduced here back in 81, it's travelled about 100 and 150 metres from the site of introduction over that 30 years. So it's been spreading it around probably a little bit more than 5, but certainly less than 10 metres per year. This is the beast we're talking about. It's an Isic species. It's a surface feeder, but burrows and lives at depth. It has permanent burrows to depth. It's often called the blackhead. Its scientific name is longer. We know because they're burrowing deeper, then we're going to probably improve drainage characteristics down through the profile. By essentially deepening the profile, then they're going to increase water storage. And in these environments here, that becomes important in these drier environments, probably on the margins of the season. That deep burrow is probably introducing greater resilience to these systems as well, which is not just about productivity, but about sustained productivity under a more, say, challenging climatic conditions.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.